Alex Shurikat presents my very emotional parody audiobook, Steamgelion! Roles played by Саня Иванов, Синдзи Икари,
Marina Kalina,
Misato Katsuragi, Rima Kagevich, Ritsuko Akagi, Commander Ivanov, Gendo Ikari, Raya Ayanama, Rei Ayanagi. First season, first episode. This story began in the Soviet Union. It was September 1900 some year. The small special station of Moscow B was illuminated by the morning sun, which was scanned for warmth. Snorting forcefully and emitting puffs of black smoke, the locomotive, pulling 3 wagons, slowly picked up speed. On a completely empty platform, only a boy in a school uniform and with a shifted guitar behind his back remained. Turning to the departing train, the boy, who had great achievements ahead, waved his handkerchief. Afterward, the boy looked around. According to the instructions received, someone was supposed to meet the boy, but at that moment, no one was visible here. The boy pulled a photograph out of his jacket pocket and peered thoughtfully at it. From a black and white photo, a shameless pioneer girl looked, winking slyly. Her right leg was bent so that almost the entire hip could be seen. And in the background there was a portrait of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. Looking around again, the boy saw a woman approaching him. Her face was similar to the girl from the photograph, but 10 years older. The briskly striding woman was dressed in a blue uniform and polished boots. And apparently, she no longer considered it acceptable to show her hips, since she was dressed not in a skirt, but in army pants. The head of the woman was crowned with a cap with a star, and behind her was a Shpagin submachine gun with a disc-type magazine. Marching as if on parade, the woman approached the boy.
Hi,
She greeted cheerfully.
are you Sanya Ivanov?
Yeah, I am, the boy replied, putting the photo back in his pocket. And are you Comrade Kalina?
That's right, Sanya. But when we are not in combat, you can't just call me Aunt Marina. Let's go, my car's outside.
Turning around in a military manner, Comrade Kalina walked in the opposite direction. Rays from her boots ran along the walls of the station buildings. Sanya caught up with Comrade Kalina and walked beside her.
How is your trip?
She asked. In general, okay. Sanya answered and corrected the guitar.
Okay, that's good. Your father was very worried about you. They say he couldn't even sing the anthem properly in the morning while you were moving from Siberia.
Oh yeah, that in his style.
Listen, Sanya, what do you have behind your back? A cello?
What? Aunt Marina, a cello is a stupid thing! I have a guitar! Do you have the real submachine gun or is it for airsoft?
Why the hell do I need an airsoft submachine gun in the war? Of course it is real.
Wow, Aunt Marina, let me shoot! Comrade Kalina smiled broadly and said,
Soon you will be shooting with such things, but even a minigun will seem like a child's toy to you. Be patient, Sanya.
Sanya whistled curiously. Finally, the high and hospitable walls of the station were left behind. Comrade Kalina opened the front door of the bright red Pobeda car for Sanya and said,
Jump in.
Sanya sat down, placing his musical instrument in the back seat. Comrade Kalina took the driver's seat and immediately turned the key, saying,
Fasten seatbelts.
Why?
For some reason, Sanya, some people try to jump out of my car while I'm driving.
Sanya looked askance at Comrade Kalina, but said nothing and buckled up. She smiled and cheerfully proclaimed,
Let's go!
With a screech of tires, the car rushed forward. Feeling the overload press him into the chair, Sanya allowed himself to remark, Do you have many acquaintances in the traffic police or what? Comrade Kalina looked away from the road and answered,
No, I haven't. It's just time is precious. Intelligence reports that the second one from the United States has already reached our border.
I would also not mind at least something in this life to reach, said Sanya, looking with wide eyes at the telegraph poles flying by. And by the way, Aunt Marina, what is the second one? Comrade Karina returned her gaze to the highway.
In the original series, they were called angels, but we decided to call them Sams. To originality.
Sam's? It's like Uncle Sam's?
You're realizing? Oh yeah, here, take it and read it while we go. Your father wrote it for you personally.
Comrade Karina handed Sanya a folder with a black and red symbol and the inscription. Top secret, only for Sanya Ivanov. Sanya opened it and read. Under the strict guidance of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, and also following the holy precepts of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, we, Soviet people, by our own will create an organization to protect the world from Western imperialism. Raising his impressed glance at Comrade Karina for a moment, who did not react in any way, Sanya continued reading. He read with enthusiasm until it suddenly became dark.
What the hell is this?
Sanya was indignant.
It's the most interesting place! Relax, we just entered the tunnel. By the way, we are going underground.
To subway or what?
Yes, wrong. Did you read the folder or just looked at the pictures in it? In some place on the third page, the second paragraph from the top, it is said that our headquarters is located under Moscow City.
Wait a minute, Aunt Marina. You said that my father wrote these documents only for me.
It is top secret, isn't it? Well, there are sometimes such cases. Do not pay any attention. Consider this an order, since I'm your future commander. How did you understand?
Sanya narrowed his eyes suspiciously and said,
I see, we have an interesting future. Roger, ma'am. Good soldier.
The car left the tunnel and raced along the road, crossing a fantastically huge cave created by people.
Well, Sanya, welcome to the star!
The star? Ha! How tried it is! You would also call it a crescent, since it looks like a sickle.
I would call it the hammer, but does anyone listen to young people? Stupid Kremlin pigs! We do whatever we want!
Sanya nodded approvingly and said, Dangerous war, Aunt Marina.
I serve the Soviet Union. And at least look at how much we have built here in just 10 years. Admire at least for decency.
Oh yes, of course. Sanya looked around. Wow, Misato-san, oh I'm sorry, Aunt Marina, is it really all located under Moscow City?
That's right, Sanya. We call this place the Undergrunker. In addition to the ground, above us are 22.5 armor plate, made of armor steel. Just don't ask where we got so much scrap metal for this.
It's clear you forced pioneers to collect. Well, Aunt Marina, why is it so light here?
Lamps of Ilyich, Sanya. 3 platoons of electricians change 300 pieces every day.
And how do I climb under such a high ceiling?
Why are you so picky? After the war, you will be a literary critic.
And who will I be during the war? Comrade Karina wanted to answer, but then a chilling howl of a siren was heard.
Just now, you'll find out,
she said and opened the lid of the dashboard, revealing the transmitter. Sanya vigorously rubbed his palms. Comrade Karina flipped the toggle switch, and after the radio tubes warmed up, a characteristic hiss was heard.
Akagevich calls Kalina!
A woman's voice spoke in the receiver.
Akagevich calls Kalina!
Comrade Kalina took the microphone and answered.
Hello, Rimma. This is Kalina. I'm listening.
Follow the rules of the radio, you jack! Small as you?
With me.
Where are you?
We are on our way. We'll be there in half a minute. Did you buy shoe polish for me?
I forgot, sorry. How is small?
Sanya took away the microphone and shouted into it. Who is this small?
And how am I without shoe polish?
Comrade Kalina added, pulling the microphone back.
I can't stand it when the boots don't shine.
Oh, Kalina, I'll lend you mine. Boy, don't rage, small is just a code name. So what no one would guess. When you arrive, run straight to the hangar to the Soyuz IB. The Sam is already flying over the suburbs.
Roger. But you will owe me a literal boost.
Deal!
Comrade Kalina turned off the radio and pressed on the brake. Having drawn 2 lanes on the pavement, the car stopped at some strange building. Having took the ignition key and her gun, Comrade Kalina ordered.
Let's go, Sanya. Leave the guitar here for now.
When they jumped out of the car and ran to the building, some kind of rumble was added to the siren and a vibration began, shattering the whole neighborhood. Aunt Marina, what's going on?
Buildings of the city will sink underground. Now on the surface the battle will begin.
Cool. Sanya said and looked up. And the buildings will now come out of the ceiling.
No, the buildings will only sink 10 meters underground. But even with that, we almost broke on our electricity bills.
In the building, Comrade Kalina led Sanya into an elevator and pulled out a punched card from behind the elevator's mirror. Having inserted the card into a slot on the control panel, Comrade Kalina pressed one of its buttons. The elevator quickly went down.
We go down 100 meters deep.
Comrade Kalina explained and turned to the mirror, straightened her waist belt. When she looked at her boots.
Capitalism! My boots are already starting to lose its shine!
As soon as the elevator stopped and its doors swung open, Comrade Kalina rushed forward and commanded to follow her. Having passed a network of corridors and even a guard post, they found themselves on a platform almost under the ceiling of a huge hall, in which a huge humanoid robot with powerful limbs towered. From the platform to which Comrade Kalina led Sanya, there was a bridge to the open hatch in the head of this mind-blowing machine. Son, my dear! Came the voice of a grown man. Sanya turned and saw that his father was running towards him, wearing the same old glasses and clean-shaven and bald. The father's military uniform was spotlessly clean. Behind him was a woman wearing a white lab coat. This unfamiliar woman was throwing up and catching some kind of radio tube. The father, taking his son in his arms, continued. Son, I'm glad to see you. Are you tired perhaps? Now I will order the bathhouse to heat up. What kind of bathhouse can we talk about now, Comrade Ivanov? The unfamiliar woman exclaimed and even dropped the radio tube. He needs to get in the cockpit as soon as possible! Comrade Agakevich, are you out of your mind? He hasn't read the instruction manual yet! Didn't get a safety briefing! We didn't even make a uniform for him! Prepare Raya! Raya can't go into battle with a cold like that! Comrade Ivanov wanted to object, but then the unhealthy voice of a young girl caught the attention of everyone.
I can't!
Everybody looked to the right. At the entrance, holding on to the door frame, stood a girl the same age as Sanya. Her red hair was braided into 2 braids and she was dressed in a black uniform. A holster with a Tokarev pistol hung on her belt. From each pocket, a handkerchief peeked out. The girl wanted to say something else, but immediately sniffed.
Achoo! Achoo!
The second time the girl sneezed so hard that she could not even resist and fell on her buttocks. When she blew her nose noisily, Comrade Agakevich pointed her finger at the girl and said, You see, Comrade Ivanov! But my son is still dead! Sanya interrupted his father. Trust me, I'm a man, even though I'm a beginner. The girl at that moment sneezed again. Comrade Kalina stepped away from her, and Comrade Agakevich said, Ryan, go back to the infirmary. There is no hope for this Sputnik V. Father! Sanya exclaimed again and looked his dad in the eyes. Comrade Ivanov wiped away a tear and hugged his son tightly, saying, Oh, my boy, I'm proud of you. Okay. Comrade Agakevich approached the speakerphone station installed on the wall and pressing the button, said into the microphone. Get ready to launch the Soyuz AB! Increase fuel oil consumption! Light the 5th and 6th nozzles! Turning to Sanya, Comrade Agakevich beckoned him with her hand. Let's go, Sanya! I'll walk you to your cockpit! Very soon, Sanya was already sitting in the cramped cockpit of the robot, surrounded by several dozen devices with pointers, among which there was even a self-recording device. There were also enough controls, such as togglers, levers, hand wheels and other things. The cockpit window was low and very wide.
Sanya!
He heard from the transmitter.
This is Remark Gage! I'm your mechanic, actually. While the electronics are warming up and the operating pressure is rising, I have a little briefing for you. You are sitting inside the most advanced Soviet combat machine. First, buckle up and put on your helmet. It's about you. The helmet has a built-in microphone and headphones. We hear you all the time, so if you want to somehow scold the commander, keep that in mind. If you ask why the hell a teenager should operate such a weapon, then see for yourself how small the cockpit is. How you put on the helmet?
I have, Sanya answered, tightening the strap of his helmet more comfortably.
Excellent. So, inside your CUSAV there's a steam boiler what runs on fuel oil and ensures the movement of all mechanisms. The electricity for the robot is generated by a steam turbine. In order for the boiler to work, it needs three things: air, water and fuel oil. Air is simply taken from the atmosphere, water circulated and its losses during normal operation are significant. The main thing is fuel oil. It is supplied through a flexible fuel oil pipeline, which is connected to the Soyuz's back. Take care of the pipeline. The Soyuz AV has some fuel oil on board, but it will only last for about 5 minutes of work. Did you understand, Sanya?
Yes, I did, ma'am. Sanya calmly replied, looking at the devices, the pointers of which began to move.
That's all for now. We can see the readiness of all your devices over the radio, and in case of difficulty, we'll prompt you.
Wait, Commander Gage, what does your "what's all for now" mean? How to move your Soyuz?
Right. Okay, no time. Click on everything and find out. We have an intuitive control system.
What? Meanwhile, in the control center, among even more devices, Commander Gage looked at Comet Ivanov, who was sitting at the table and chewing on the pen. When she shifted her gaze to Comet Kalina, who was standing next to the periscope. After that, Commander Gage said, "Engineers, report readiness!" "Fuel oil pressure is normal," reported the engineer at the farthest console. "Temperature, steam pressure, water level are normal," replied another engineer. "The voltage is normal, the turbine works stably," reported the third engineer. Comet Gage looked at Comet Kalina again and nodded.
Well,
exclaimed Comet Kalina.
in the name of the communization of mankind, start!
Sanya's robot shuddered and began to rise smoothly on the lift, puffing smoke from a pipe disconnected from the flue.
Wait!
Sanya cried.
You didn't tell me anything about weapons!
You have no weapons, Sanya.
Replied Comet Kalina.
The train on which I was taking was stuck in a traffic jam.
What? You said that I would shoot with...
Don't worry, Sanya. Crush the enemy with your fists. And if anything, you have a knife.
Whoa, quantum?
What else, Quantum? Diamond. Yeah, try not to hit the SAM too hard. Akagevich will disassemble and study its engine. Up, get ready. In 30 seconds, you will be on the surface of F.
Sanya took a deep breath and said, "Aunt Marina,
Yes, Sanya.
Aunt Marina, do you have music?"
We have. Where is music? What do you want?
"I want something heavier."
Yes, sir. Current Commander Ivanov, get the 12th vinyl disc from the box 34.
And so, when the Soyuz AB rose to the surface of the city, almost completely hidden underground, a peppy battle song was heard on the air. "Well, now it's not scary to die," Sanya said, nodding his head to the beat of the music.
Forget about dying.
Commander Gage objected.
Try to walk while the SAM is still at a great distance. The pedals under your feet are motion control.
Sanya gently stepped on one of the pedals, and the robot took a heavy, confident step, but shook the ground.
It's working!
Comrade Kalina exclaimed happily, looking through the periscope. Comrade Kalina! Comrade Ivanov sat indignantly, looking at the part of the body exposed by Comrade Kalina. What do you allow yourself? Raise the periscope high and straighten up! My son went into battle and even without a uniform, and you ain't Instagram here! At this time, Sanya has already mastered turns and moving back.
I knew, Sanya, you could handle it!
Comrade Akakevich praised.
Now stick your hands into what looks like gloves, but are attached to the bars, and try to move your robot's arms!
Sanya boldly placed his palms where suggested, and after the robot waved its arms in a sweeping manner, he exclaimed.
Cool! Indeed, everything is intuitive. Well, where's this Sam? Now I will tear him to shreds!
Remember about the engine, and about the fuel oil pipeline!
Yes, ma'am, I remember.
The voice of the radio changed to that of Comrade Kalina.
Attention! The Sam is landing in the east, a distance of 1,500. Prepare for battle!
Sanya turned his robot to the east and saw what an equally tall metal monster, but with the self-confident inscription made in the USA, landed in clouds of smoke and dust. In the right hand of the enemy was something like a machine gun.
Hurrah!
Sanya roared and led his robot to attack.
By the way, what do the Yankees need here?
I'll explain it in another episode. You have little reason to fight for only your homeland or what?
No, not at all, Aunt Marina. Hurrah!
Mercilessly stomping on the armored plates covering the buildings of Muscovy City, the Soyuz AB rushed forward. The Sam raised its weapons and began to walk towards. Sanya took a course slightly to the right, and just in time, because the mouth of the enemy's weapon spewed fire and a shell flew past the Soyuz AB.
$1!
Sanya shouted an abusive word.
Comrade Akakevich, where is my knife?
It's built into the right hand! Whistle louder and it will come out!
What? I can't whistle loudly.
What are kids being taught at school? Okay, manual eject toggle switch next to the rectangular device hole on your left!
I see. But why isn't there a device, ma'am?
It didn't pass the check! The new one has not been sent yet!
Meanwhile, the Sam fired another shot, this time hitting the chest of the Soyuz AB. Hit! Reported second engineer. No damage! Comrade Kalina rubbed the handles of the periscope and said through her teeth.
The Soviet armor is strong.
Sanya flipped the knife eject switch and growled.
Bastard! He scratched me!
When the Sam fired for the third time, the distance between the robots was reduced to hundreds of meters. The shell, what hit almost point blank, shattered the Soyuz AB, almost breaking through its steel chest, but not forcing it to retreat. With a wild roar, Sanya ran into the enemy and met with it in hand-to-hand combat. The Sam, who received a terrible blow to the head, fired again, but due to the close distance, the barrel of its weapon could no longer be directed at the Soyuz AB. The explosion came a little farther away. Fuel oil pressure drops! First engineer suddenly exclaimed in alarm. The supply oil pipeline is cut off! The non-return valve did not work! Fuel oil flows out of the Soyuz AB! Sanya! Comrade Akakevich shouted, clutching her head and not taking her eyes off the device, showing the level of the fuel oil in the onboard tank of the robot. Forget about my engine and gouge it soon! Your fuel will run out in 20 seconds! But Sanya, who got into the taste of battle, no longer needed any valuable instructions. Roaring furiously, he knocked the weapon out of the Sam's hand and then punched it in the head again.
Don't hit him in the head, Sanya!
Shouted Comrade Kalina.
Go to the rear! Everything is most vulnerable where? Probably.
Fuel oil will end in 10 seconds! Komatakevich cried, almost burying her nose in the device. Sonya grabbed the SAM with his left hand and turned it with a gigantic effort, with its back to himself. For the Soviet Union! Roared Sonya, forcing the Soyuz AB to swing the knife. The blow, but followed with swing, shook the eye with thunderous sound, and the Soviet knife even crawled out of the chest of the SAM, piercing through it. Something exploded inside the SAM, then exploded again, but stronger, and the third explosion shred the enemy off, almost dropping the Soyuz AB. Relaxing, Sonya looked around at the slowly fading control panel lights and falling instrument pointers.
Sonya,
Comrade Karina said from the radio.
Sonya, how are you?
Sonya took a deep breath and said, "Bliss to be continued."